Welcome back, guys. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. I said I wasn't going to do this, and in typical Jake Ellenbogen fashion, I'm doing it. We're doing another 53-man roster for the preseason game 2, post-preseason game 2. Before we dive into it, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media at JKBogen. You can check out this video as well as other videos on this channel in audio format now for the first time ever. Just look up Jake Ellenbogen Live on all your podcast platforms and subscribe and, give it a 5-star review. We really appreciate that. In addition to that, I just want to let you guys know that today's sponsor of the video is BetUS, which is going to give you a 125% sign-up bonus using my promo link in the description in the comments section below, up to $2,000, and you can use it up to 3 times. That is BetUS. Go check them out. Link in the description, comment section below. All right, here it is, 53-man roster following the preseason game 2. I said I wasn't going to do it. Well, I'm doing it. And the reason I'm doing it is because I actually came away having different thoughts leading from the second preseason game. So I didn't think it'd be that much different of an, a 53-man roster, but alas, here we are. So quarterbacks, same thing. Matthew Stafford, Stetson Bennett. Now, I still think the Rams need to consider signing a guy like Ryan Tannehill, or maybe even trading for a Zach Wilson or a Trey Lance or somebody in those lines to be that third guy and maybe move on from Stetson Bennett, or at least put him on the practice squad. I don't trust Stetson Bennett to back up Matthew Stafford in the short term. Maybe down the road, maybe, but not right now. And unfortunately, because Jimmy Garoppolo, again, I feel like I am just beating a dead horse, broken record, all those different things. But Jimmy Garoppolo is suspended for the first 2 games of the season. So Stetson Bennett would be the de facto backup quarterback for those first 2 games for Matthew Stafford. And he is going up against the Lions in that first game. And the Lions almost tried to take his head off in the preseason game or the postseason game. So we already know that they love biting kneecaps and all of that. I mean, we saw plenty of that with, Kirby Joseph diving at Tyler Higbee's knee. But I am concerned for Stafford's well-being, and I don't want Stetson Bennett to be the backup quarterback. I think that's totally normal because he didn't even play last year, okay? This is somebody who's truly a rookie this year, and he's 1 year older, and he didn't get much better. So, yeah, I know that there are going to be people that have an issue with that and probably just turned off the video, but the reality is I'm going to keep it real on this channel, and I just don't trust Stetson Bennett as the backup. And I think the Rams, I am practically begging them to sign Ryan Tannehill at this point, but that's neither here nor there. So they keep 2. Running back, I'm going to have them keeping 4. It's going to be the exact same 4. Obviously, Kyren Williams, Blake Corum, and Ronnie Rivers are locked in at those 3. They did not play any preseason games. Boston Scott is the number 4 running back. Zach Evans just had the best game of his career, in my opinion, as a Ram, but I don't think it's going to be enough to fend off Boston Scott. If it is, it's because of the pass protection reps. I thought Zach Evans looked much better in pass pro than pretty much he's ever looked, so that's some good stuff. Boston Scott didn't look great in pass protection, but I do think that returnability, I think that veteran leadership all comes into play, and he'll be the 4th running back on this roster. All right, wide receiver. Our first shakeup of this 2024 post-preseason game 2 53-man roster is the wide receiver spot. Okay, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, none of them played in preseason. They're locked in, despite what anyone will have you believe. Tutu Atwell is not being traded, nor is he being cut at this point in time. They like him. He likes the Rams. Neither of them want to part ways right now. So Jordan Whittington is the number 5 receiver. I think we can all agree he's looked outstanding, leading the preseason in targets and receptions. But the 6th guy last week was Tyler Johnson. I'm going to go with this week being Xavier Smith. The reason being, Smith offers more as a returner. Smith has done more than Tyler Johnson in these reps, and I think that Smith ultimately is going to give them more as far as long term. Tyler Johnson has had his opportunities, He is still young. He's still in his prime, but he hasn't really done enough. Okay, we saw bits and pieces. We definitely saw it in Week 18 against the 49ers. But at the same time, Xavier Smith is somebody that they stuck around. They kept on the practice squad. They signed him to a futures deal. And guess what? He's made the most of his time in training camp. A lot of people are saying that he's looked one of the best in training camp. He's had a great camp. He's looked good in preseason. He's got the athleticism. He's got all sorts of things. And when you look at him, you wouldn't expect him to be as good of a receiver as he is, but he is. And I think Xavier Smith has done enough in a competition that I think has been dead heat for the most part. I think he's done enough to surpass Tyler Johnson. Now, I could be wrong, but right now my projection is that Xavier Smith would make the roster over Tyler Johnson, and I do not at all foresee them keeping 7 receivers. I think they have too many things to worry about there. Tight ends, 3. Colby Parkinson, Davis Allen, Hunter Long. I am not sold on Hunter Long. I want to be very clear here. Colby Parkinson hasn't played a lick of preseason. He is by far the number 1 tight end. Davis Allen is by far the number 2 tight end until Tyler Higbee comes back. Hunter Long has not impressed me. Okay, I'm just going to be honest here. I know they got him in the Jalen Ramsey deal. They don't need to keep him. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think they do, and I projected him to make this team. I'm more interested in Nikola Kalanick, okay? I thought he looked really smooth as a receiver. This was like the first time really getting a chance to see him in action. Not a bad blocker. I would rather have Kalanick or even Forrestal over Long. Long does not move the needle for me. But then again, you know, I'm not there at the training camp and practices. I'm sure he's probably good there. It's just, I think that Kalanick offers an interesting skill set that I think I would keep over Long. But this is a projection, which means that I'm trying to make this as accurate as possible based on the knowledge that I currently have. And right now, I'm going to say Hunter Long is the 3rd tight end. Moving on to the offensive line, we have obviously the left tackle, Alaric Jackson, left guard, Jonah Jackson, center, Steve Avila, right guard, Kevin Dotson, right tackle, Rob Havenstein. You also have Joe Noteboom as the 6th man. You have Warren McClendon Jr., who did not play the entire game. He played a little bit and was taken out. Bo Limmer, Zach Thomas, and Logan Bruss. So it's going to remain the same, except we're going to take a offensive lineman off the board here. I initially had Connor McDermott. I decided to go in a different direction. I think the Rams keep 10. I think there's a chance that AJ Arcuri is on this roster. He would probably be my 11th, but I think the locks are those 10 guys. I think Bruss has had a perfect, everything that you could have asked for this preseason has been Logan Bruss. It's been Zach Thomas. It's been Bo Limmer. Arcuri's been really good. Warren McClendon Jr. has been really good. So I think they're going to be really, really built in the depth role there. Offensive line looks really good for the Rams. If everyone can stay healthy from top to bottom, those 10, that's the best 10 I think we've seen in the Sean McVay era, if we're being honest. You could make the argument it's not as good as the one with, Whitworth. I would say Whitworth is probably the biggest, thing that's missing on this offensive line. But from top to bottom, I think this has the most well-rounded depth. Defensive line is the direction we went in. We had 5 defensive linemen last week. Same 5 are going to make this team, in my opinion. Kobe Turner, Bobby Brown III, Braden Fisk. Neither of those 3 have played, so they'll make the team. Desjuan Johnson, Tyler Davis, they both are going to make the roster. But I add one more, and that's Carlos Watkins. So as you can see, I went with a experienced veteran in his 30s, but I did that at defensive line instead of offensive line, okay? I think McDermott is still going to be available, so if they decide to go in that direction, they signed him late in camp and everything, so I'm sure he'll be available. But Carlos Watkins made his presence known, okay? I don't think McDermott has been bad. He's only given up 1 pressure, but Carlos Watkins came in. He had a strip sack. He looked really, really good. 3 pressures on the day for them. I think he's a good piece to have in the back end of your defensive line depth. I know some people will say, where's Laryl Murchison? I get that. I think Carlos Watkins offers more as a veteran guy. So I think in a young room where you have Kobe Turner, Bobby Brown, Fisk, Desjuan Johnson, Tyler Davis, and combined, they don't even have as many years of NFL playing time as Carlos Watkins. I think it's a no-brainer to have a guy like Carlos Watkins in the back end of that defensive line. Speaking of defensive line, we'll move to the edge. Okay, it's going to be the same edge room in my opinion. I think you're going to be looking at the same type of edge. Jared Verse, Byron Young, those guys have not played. Michael Hoyt has not played. Brennan Jackson did not play either. And I think Nick Hampton, who had another really good performance, I think he is going to make this team. But aside from that, I don't think they have enough room, unfortunately, for some of the other guys like O'Shawn Mathis and Van Valkenburg and Keir Thomas. I think they like all 3 of them. All 3 of them will be an opportunity. They will have an opportunity to be back on the practice squad, but I don't foresee them keeping more than 5 edge. And if they do, I guess I would kind of lean Mathis, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was Van Valkenburg either. Linebackers. We went with 4 last week, or excuse me, we went with 5 last week. We're going to stick with 5. A little bit of a shakeup here. So Ernest Jones, Christian Roseboom, Troy Reeder, regardless how you feel about all 3 of them, and I know some people have their thoughts on 2 of those 3, they have not played a preseason game. That means they are locked in for the Rams. Other teams, that might not look so good. But anyway, Jake Hummel, okay, is the number 4 linebacker here. And number 5 is not Olakunle Fatukasi like last week. I can't hide it. Omar Spates. I think Spates has a chance to be the second best linebacker in this room. He just is electric. He takes great angles. He's a sound tackler. He has some thump to his tackles. This guy just plays like his hair's on fire. The motor does not run cold at all. This is definitely a guy that I think is going to be one of the hardest to cut if the Rams have to cut him. But I don't think they're going to cut him. I don't. I think he's one of the best 53, and he should make this roster. With that said, we move on to the cornerbacks here. I only have them keeping 4. I'm sticking with it. Darius Williams, Tre'Davious White, Kobe Durant, and Jerry Jacobs. I don't think Trey Tomlinson makes this team. I think there's a chance that Charles Woods could. I think there's a chance Josh Wallace could sneak in there. Maybe even Sean Jolly, but I'm going to stick with 4 corners here. I still think the Rams want Ahkello Witherspoon back, which I do think adds into the 4 corners being kept. But regardless if Ahkello is back with the Rams or not, I think those are your 4 corners opening day. All right, safeties now. Another shakeup, last shakeup of the roster here. So last week, obviously, Cameron Curl's going to make this team. Quentin Lake, John Johnson III, they all did not play in preseason. They're locked in. Cameron Kinchins did not play this preseason game because they knew he's going to make the team. They feel great about him, okay? Those are 4 guys. So who's the 5th guy? There are 3 guys up for that roster spot. Tanner Engel, Russ Yeast, Jalen McCullough, actually 4, and Jason Taylor II. Now, McCullough probably has done enough to make this team in normal circumstances, but the Rams have a lot of guys at safety. Tanner Engel's balling out. Russ Yeast was a starter last year for them, started quite a few games. And then you have Jason Taylor II, who, yes, he may have been a 7th-round pick and he's been hurt, but he's had a great preseason. He's the number 1 run defensive safety, according to PFF, in all of preseason. And Jalen McCullough is one of the best coverage safeties. So where do you go? I'm going to say the Rams decide to go with Jason Taylor II. I think that's going to be a little bit shocking to people. I think a lot of people would think Russ Yeast is the no-brainer here, or Jalen McCullough. I think Jason Taylor II has a more well-rounded game. I think McCullough, you might be able to sneak on the practice squad. It's not going to be easy, but you might. Russ Yeast would probably get picked up. He's very similar in that aspect to Robert Rochelle, a guy that has started games in the past. The Rams eventually moved on from. Russ Yeast is good. Make no mistake about it. He's a good football player, but this is a tough team to make. And I think Jason Taylor II is really starting to come into his own. The preseason reps he's gotten, I've seen a lot of great things. I think McAuliffe is more flashier, but I think when you look at who's the more well-rounded safety, it's Jason Taylor II, which is why I have him making this team. I think he is the 5th safety they keep. If they keep 6, I think McAuliffe might have the upper hand on Russ Yeast, if I'm being honest. But I would also say if they're going to keep McAuliffe, I don't think they'd keep Jason Taylor II. If they kept 6, I think they would go with Russ Yeast and McAuliffe. But I think the well-rounded nature of Jason Taylor II is a reason why if they go with 5, they would keep him. I think Tanner Ingle's done a great job, but unfortunately, I think he's going to be the odd man left out entirely. I don't think he is the next man up or whatever. Like, I think he's just going to get forgotten about. Could be back on the practice squad, so could work out. But that's how I feel. I think JT2 has taken the next step. The Rams love their late round safeties, and I would not be surprised if JT2 ends up being a big time player for them, because I think he offers the special teams element. Obviously, that was a big reason why they liked him. They liked him on special teams. He's a sound tackler, the best run defensive safety in the league, according to PFF in the preseason. And he's got some ball skills. So I like Jason Taylor II here. That's the direction I decided to go. As for the specialists, it's the 3, Joshua Carty, Ethan Evans, and Alex Ward. The punt returners, kick returners, all that. Xavier Smith would be the punt returner. Tutu Atwell would be kick returner with Boston Scott. Suspended, Jimmy Garoppolo, Pup, tight end Tyler Higbee, and the bubble. Wrapping it up here, Zach Evans, running back. We'll see. I don't think he makes the team. I think he could be back on the practice squad. We will see. Wide receiver Tyler Johnson, tight end Nikola Kalanick, offensive tackle AJ Arcuri, offensive tackle Connor McDermott, interior offensive lineman Justin Dedich. I think he's done an outstanding job in 47 snaps, but I don't think he has a really tough road ahead of him to try to crack this roster. This is really good offensive line depth. And Dedich, you can only keep 53 on a team. If then you could keep, say 60, Dedich is making this roster, no doubt. He's played very well. Defensive line, Corey Durden had a really good game. Laryl Murchison, edge, O'Shawn Mathis, Zach Van Valkenburg, right? Olakunle Fatukasi, a linebacker. Cornerbacks, Trey Tomlinson, Josh Wallace, Charles Woods. Defensive backs, Sean Jolly, and safeties, Tanner Ingle, Jalen McAuliffe, and Russ Yeast. So, in conclusion, I think this is the best 53 for the Rams. I think McAuliffe, if you want to make the argument for him over Jason Taylor, that's totally fine. I wouldn't, shoot you down for it. Omar Spates is one of the best 53. Carlos Watkins is one of the best 53. Xavier Smith, I think there's still an argument to be had there. I wouldn't say he's running away with it. I think he's, breaking away, at the very end of this race. He could very well end up getting the spot over Tyler Johnson. That's what I project. Wouldn't be surprised if they just said, we're only going to keep 5 receivers. Not super likely, but I wouldn't be shocked. So those are my thoughts. What do you guys think about the Rams 53-man roster? Do you like this? Do you think this is going to be accurate? Do you have your own? Drop in the comments section below. Also, be sure to check out BetUS, sponsor of today's video. Link is in the description in the comments section below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, folks. Later. Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.